Todd, there's obviously a lot of excitement around Ben Rossick, but how did Lawson Lucky sort of take that news that you guys were going to bring in a transfer tight end, and how have you seen him sort of attack, grow, continue to work as a player this offseason?
Yeah, I think Lawson, it is a competitive, he has high competitive character, similar to Brock. Lawson wants me to always give him more. He's always asking for more roles, for more plays. He's asking for more tape. He has that, that nature about him where he wants to be the best, and then obviously you want all your kids to be that way, and some are more outwardly, spoken about wanting to be that way, and so I think it was just, it motivated him even more to be that best tight end in that room, and he doesn't seem as, hey, I got to compete with this guy for playing time, but in reality, he knows that that's probably the truth. But we're going to need all three of those guys to play significant roles for us this year in order for us to be good in that room and on our offense. So his response to having been there is no different than having those two freshmen there. He's going to go do his job to the best that he can.
Hey Todd, I thought I heard you say that you're the best tight end room in the country. Did you feel that way in Miami and Marshall? And why do you feel that way with the generational talent now in the NFL?
Well, I'll say this. If you don't have belief in your players, how are they going to believe in you? Right? And so I show belief and confidence in my guys every day that I think they're the best ones in the country. And that's our standard, is to be the best tight end room in the country. So if I'm not believing in them, how can they believe in themselves? Right? And so I do feel like our room is we have some guys in there that are talented, okay? What have they done yet? I don't know, okay? But I do believe they're going to get there, okay? And so if I'm not believing them as a coach, then I'm not doing my job number one, okay? So I've had the opportunity to coach some really good players. I've been very, very blessed to do that. My time at Marshall with Gator Hoskins and Frohnapple and Juracek, and my time at Miami, obviously, with Njoku and Herndon and Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory, and then my time at Georgia, even starting with Charlie Warner, okay? And Fitzpatrick and Trey McKitty and Darnell Washington and Brock Bauer. So there's been a long line of some good tight ends that I've had the opportunity just to coach them. I'm very thankful that I've had that chance.
This is kind of along those lines, but the first day of practice, I was walking by and noticed your group. You're right there on the sideline. But I did a double take, what group is that? Because there were so many players.
Yeah.
I mean, you got pretty good representation of walk-ons as well, and they all look like pretty big dudes. Can you just talk about how you handle that? And what are your numbers out there, including walk-ons and stuff that you're working with every day?
Yeah, it's first off, let me say and this is a big deal in college football nowadays, like the walk-on, right? What's going to happen to the walk-on? We can't do it. We can't operate, how we practice without these walk-ons. They serve such a pivotal role in the way we do things at Georgia from a practice standpoint, from a walkthrough standpoint. And so we're very thankful that they're here. And an old coach told me, John Fabric used to say, everybody has a role, right? And embrace your role. And one role might be a little bit more valuable than the other, but we all go to the same place in the end. Right? From the top to the bottom, from the starting quarterback to the bottom walk-on, we're all going to the same place in the end. So everybody has to embrace their role. And I've always taught, Joe T back in the day said, hey, don't treat that guy any different. He might be the governor of the state one day, right? And so I'll always remember that. Yeah. And so I don't treat those walk-ons any different than I treat my starters or my scholarship kids. And I think those guys appreciate that. They get a high five and a chest bump when they make a play, and they get a foot up their butt when they don't, just like the starters do. So I'm very thankful for the guys that I have in that room and the guys that we have on our team that help us out. Specifically at tight end, we have 11 total in that room, okay? As far as numbers, we have 5 scholarship and 6 walk-ons. In camp, I have 4 walk-ons in camp, so it gives me 9 total here right now. So, and that's usually about normal for tight ends, Chip. It's about anywhere between 9 to 11.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coach, the majority of transfers at Georgia are either guys that y'all have played against or have previous existing relationships with. What was the connection point with your roster, or was this just a football player that you guys saw and identified as talented and wanted?
Yeah, the whole portal process is, there's no blueprint for it, right? And I think the one thing that Coach Smart does a great job of it, he is very selective about who he brings in. Sometimes it might look like we're not as active in the portal as other people, but I think there's a reason for that, right? There's a culture and a standard here, and he is very selective about who he brings in because locker room dynamics are important, and so you have to fit certain criteria, not just how many catches did he have, how many yards did he have, like not just that, like the person's got to check out too, right? And so to your point, like yeah, it's usually people that he knows that we're very familiar with, and Ben really didn't fit that other than Ben was older. Right, and if you look at our room, you know, if we needed anything, we probably needed a little bit of experience in that room as a kid that's played a lot at major level college football, and he was very productive. You know, a couple injuries here and there, but very productive. And you just know that coming from Stanford, he's going to be able to handle the high academic load that Georgia was going to give him. He's going to be able to handle an NFL type pro style offense. That's what they did there. So those things were already a given. And then you turn the tape on, and he does run well, and he does catch, and he kind of hits the physical attributes that you look for too. So even though we didn't have as much familiar with, he can play in our league, we didn't know that much about him. We knew those other things, and they kind of checked the boxes for us.